Hello, thank you for tuning into my channel, Injustice of Justice. I am so glad that you found my page and I hope that you would subscribe and like for future videos. Limitations of when the police can search your car based on your Fourth Amendment rights. Sorry. What is an amendment? Let's start there. An amendment is a set of rules that every state has to follow. And I'm going to say this, I'm sorry, caveat. I'm going to try to break this down with bare minimum understanding. I do not want to use super legalese words that is going to make it hard for people to understand. So I'm going to break everything down into the bare minimum of what I think that you could possibly understand it. So what is an amendment? Think of an amendment as rules that every state has to follow that tell you what your rights are. The Fourth Amendment talks about how far a police can go when they are doing a search of your car, home, or possessions. So the amendments are in the U.S. Constitution, and they are specifically in the Bill of Rights. And I have to the right of the screen, depending on which way you're looking at it, all of the amendments listed, not all of them, because there are total, there are some that are not in here, but I have some very important ones that you should look at for the future. To be specific, the one that we're dealing with is Fourth Amendment, the right to be secure in your persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches. So the Fourth Amendment protects all of us from police just searching us, our homes, our cars, whenever they feel like it for no reason. So that protects us from them just walking up to you, searching your pockets, walking into your house, or just like you see in this photo, just going through your car for no reason at all. What does the police need in order to stop my car? We'll start with one, reasonable suspicion. Reasonable suspicion means a reason to believe or have a suspicion that you committed a crime. They reasonably suspect based on your conduct, something they seen, or their knowledge of something from a dispatcher on their walkie-talkie, like you or your vehicle, matching the description of someone or a car that was involved in a crime. That would be reasonable suspicion. Now, I did note in here that sometimes they lie and say that, hey, you match the description or your car matched the description of this dispatch call we got. And most of the time there's nothing you can do about them lying about that when they pull you over. But that is reasonable. Those things would be considered reasonable suspicion. Exigent circumstances, we're going to go a little bit more into that as well. Exigent circumstances is an emergency, like if they see someone in the process of getting hurt, someone is screaming, that is a qualification for them to stop your car. Side note, reasonably believing you violated any traffic rule, like, running through a stop sign, running through a red light, can also be a reason why the police stop your car. If the police pull you over without a valid reason, it is illegal, but stay calm as possible and do not give consent to search, is a note that I wanted to put in here. Examples of traffic violations that can get you pulled over: speeding, running red light, improper tag, suspended license, registration, a window tint that is illegal. These are all examples of traffic violations that can get you pulled over. Of course, there's many more, but these are just some. Now, when are the police illegally pulling you over? If they say when they pull you over, they're pulling you over because you are in a high crime area or area that has a lot of drug activity in the neighborhood, or um, like that prosecutor that a lot of us watched the video of, she wasn't doing anything wrong, didn't have any traffic violations. She was just a black woman in a very nice vehicle. So being black in a nice car or nice neighborhood, that's an illegal pulled over. If they say I have a feeling or a hunch that you did something wrong, that is not the law. That is not enough. Just wondering where you are going this late at night. I hear police ask this question a lot. So you want to ask them when they pull over, officer, would you tell me the reason for you pulling me over? Once you are pulled over, because there is a requirement for you to pull over to the side of the road once the police officer initiates his or her lights. Even if you at that point don't know what you've done wrong, if you've done anything wrong, if you haven't even done anything wrong, there's still a requirement for you to pull over. Now, if you are being pulled over on a dark road at night, slow down and pull into a lit area such as a gas station, etc. Call 911 and say that you are being pulled over, but you are driving to a lit area. You are not required to pull over in a dark where nobody else, is there, no cars are passing by. So just note that, and be on the phone with 911 so they can accuse you of running away from the police. Steps once police walk up to your car window. One, have your license and registration ready. Always, always, always know where this is in your vehicle, because that's not something that you want to be fumbling around for once the police pulls you over. Two, avoid answering questions. They are wearing body cams, and everything you say will be used against you. And additionally, everything you say will be a confession in your case. So I want to note that this is not the time to tell your truth. I often see people, I'm just going to tell the truth, or the officer says, just tell me the truth, or think that being real, that the officer is going to respect you and then let you go. No, the officer is only doing that because he or she is building their case against you. And once you give a confession, especially on their body cam, they have sealed their case and they don't need anything else. So you just made their job bulletproof easier by just giving them their reason for their search or your arrest straight out of your mouth, because a lot of times officers don't have enough until you open your mouth and give them reasonable suspicion, as I talked about. Examples of things not to say: I smoked weed earlier, my license is suspended, I have drugs in my car or trunk. No, no, and no. Even if this is true, they still have to follow the steps legally to get to the drugs in your trunk, to get to the fact that, if, or in your car or whatever else, or to get to the information that your license is suspended. Your license could be suspended, but there could be a defense that you didn't know that your license was suspended. Soon as you opened your mouth and said, my license is suspended, your defense is out of the window. So, just be careful of that. So once the police walk up to your car, they will likely say one or more of the following. They may say something else, but these are just the most common things that I've seen. One, your license and registration. A lot of cops will start asking you questions like, do you know why I pulled you over? Question they may ask you, so when they say, do you know why I pulled you over? Your answer should be no. Because if you say, yeah, I was speeding, again, confession right on the spot. Do you know how fast you were going? Your answer, no. Where are you headed? Your answer: I would like to know the reason you pulled me over, officer, or I would prefer not to answer any questions without a lawyer. This seems like a very harmless question where you had it. But I will say I have seen this question be one of the biggest downfalls for people, especially people who are accused of robbing a bank or doing something where they were in a certain location. If the officers got a call and said this car matches the description leaving this place, and you said, well, I'm headed here, and then the officers say, well, that's not even in the direction to go this place, or it wouldn't even make sense for this car to be traveling on this road if this is where they're headed. So, it can really turn out to be information that is not helpful for you. Now, if it's just a standard traffic stop, then it may, of course, that may not be harmful, but you just never know why officers are asking certain questions. Do you have any drugs in your car? I see this question asked a lot. Just walk up to the window. You got any drugs in your answer is no. Can I or do you have a problem with me searching your car? Answer: I do not give consent for the search of my car. That is and that is very important that you express very clearly that you are not giving consent for the officer to search your car. I do want to note you should be nice. Knowing your rights does not mean that you are not nice or not, the officer can't have a conversation you, but do not confuse being nice with giving up your rights. You're not required to answer certain questions. And also, you are definitely not required to give consent to search your car. In order to go from an investigation stop where they're just asking for your license and giving you a citation and maybe asking you questions about other things if they have reason to believe that you're involved in a crime of some nature, to a full blown search of your car or your clothes, they must have probable cause. Now, if you remember, I said they must have reasonable suspicion to stop you, which just means that they must suspect that you did something. Or they have a reason to suspect that you did something, but there has to be a reason. Probable cause is the next level. You can't search somebody's car because you're, all in their space, invading their privacy rights. You have to go to the next level of having probable cause to search someone's car. And probable cause just means a reasonable belief, it must be reasonable based on facts, circumstances, or specifics that they know or seen that lead them to believe you committed a crime. And I'm going to give some examples. Now, let me talk about reasonable a little bit. It's unreason, when they say, well, this is based on this reason, it has to be something that's reasonable. It can't be something that's just not even reasonable for them. So if they got a call that said a white man committed a crime and robbed a bank and that he had on an outfit matching your description, they can't then pull you over and say you have the same outfit on. And so we have probable cause to search your car for this armed robbery or robbery because you are a black man. It's just not even reasonable, the reason that they're giving for searching your car just because you have matching clothes. So let's recap. To stop your car, police need to suspect or have a suspicion that you have committed a crime or traffic violation. In Georgia, traffic violations are crimes. In some other places, they're just citations based on what they have seen or information they have or possibly have heard. To search your car, they have to level up and be able to say the reasonable, specific things they see or know which is probable cause, that make them believe you committed a crime that they can find evidence for in a search. Remember, don't say anything that is going to give them probable cause or reason to search your car. The examples I gave earlier, I have drugs in my car. And that's an example I have. Don't say I just smoked or I smoked earlier. I have drugs in my car. You just gave them a reason to believe that you are in possession of drugs, and now they can search your car. How long can the police keep me during a traffic stop? Now, legally, they can only detain you or hold you. That's another word for detain, is hold you long enough for the reason for the stop. So you give them your ID, and then they go run your ID and make sure you don't have any warrants and get your traffic ticket. Once they come back to your car and hand you your ID and ticket, your traffic stop is over. If it's just a traffic stop, it is over. Meaning they're supposed to let you go at this point, let you go about your way, especially if there's no other crime or anything else that took place. Now, beware of certain things that the cop will do once they come back to your window, to kind of prolong or extend out or make longer the traffic stop so they can get information from you. Some cops will come to your window with your ticket and your ID in hand, but then they will start to ask you questions while they are still holding your ID and ticket. This is a tactic that they use to get information from you. What should you do? Ask for the cop to hand your ticket and ID back. And if you are free to leave now, that you have the citation for the reason for your stop. 2, tell them you prefer not to answer any questions, but will give them your attorney information to ask any further questions. 3, do not consent to a search of you or your vehicle by the officer. If they pulled you over just for violating a traffic law, there is no automatic reason or probable cause to search your car, meaning there is no reason to believe that there are drugs or anything illegal in your car. Now, there may be an exception to this, such as driving under the influence. Um, if you're weaving all of the roads, they walk up to the car and they smell alcohol, that's a different circumstance. But we're just talking about, speeding, running through a light, running a stop sign, those things like that. And so just beware of the officer holding the ticket and the ID in their hand, but actually not giving it to you just so they can ask you questions that may lead, depending on your answer, to them doing a search of your car and having probable cause for the search of your car. Okay. So, there are times where the police may have a reason or probable cause to search your car. Now, one, if you roll down your window and the smell of marijuana, like this picture, where a lot of smoke and it's probably a drug, comes out of your car, if you're in a state where it's illegal, like one of these southern belt states like Georgia, uh, then that may be probable cause, that is likely to be probable cause to search your car for drugs. 2, if you open your mouth and tell them that you smoked or used drugs earlier, I think I've really hammered that point by now. 3, if you're driving erratically all over the place, all over the road, bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, open container. If the cops can look in your window, not search your car, but if they can look straight through your window and see that you have alcohol that's open in your car, then that's reason to believe that you're committing the crime of driving while under the influence. And so that may be probable cause to, is likely to be probable cause to search your car. Now, this is something that I kind of pointed at. If they see something in plain view, so plain view means that just by looking through your window, um, or if your window is rolled down, and they don't have to look through it, if they can just see into your car and out in the open, they see something connected to a crime like a blunt, alcohol, like I said before earlier, open, or something else that relates to a crime, then the police will likely have probable cause to search your car and hold you in, in arrest, will arrest you for possession of illegal substance. Now, plain view does not mean in your glove compartment, under your seat, places that they cannot see without opening it up. It has to be out in the open. That's the only way is plain view. So if they start digging and rumbling around and then they pull something out, that is a search. That is not plain view. If you are not following commands requested of you, this is number two, like giving ID or registration, arguing back and forth, you could be arrested for obstruction of justice, or obstruction of an officer, which just means that you stop the officer from doing their job. And then the police are allowed to search you, your clothes, because now you're under arrest, and they're allowed to search your car under certain circumstances. They're allowed to search you just to make sure that when you are taken into custody, into the jail, you're not bringing anything with you. And also for their safety to make sure you're not sitting in the back of a police car and next thing you know, you pull out something that can harm them. So just keep that in mind. Now, the search of your car is a little bit more complicated. I did note that, and depends on different things when it comes to you being arrested and then your car is searched. There are different types of searches of your car, like inventory search, but those things are something that I'm going to go over in another video. I'm just giving the plain bare bones as of right now. What is the difference between a pat down, which is the top picture that we see, and a search, which is the bottom picture where someone, the officer, whoever is actually, well, not whoever, the officer is actually going into your pockets when the cop stops you on the side of the road or frankly anywhere. This is what an example of a pat down versus what a search looks like. A cop can ask you to step out of your car and pat you down for their safety. And a pat down is, like we see in this picture, is touching or patting down on the outside layer of your clothes to make sure you do not have a weapon like a gun or a knife while they are talking to you, anything that can harm them. And so that's literally their hands spread wide open, like you see this woman in the video, and she's just patting down. She's not going into the pockets, she's not squeezing the pockets. If they can't feel from the pat that it is a gun or a knife, then anything else like going into your pockets to see exactly what it is would be considered a search. And if they don't have probable cause, like we talked about earlier, a reason for that search, then that would be illegal. So cops are not legally allowed to ask you to step out of the car and search you in point number two without a reason, probable cause. This reason cannot be a non-driving under the influence traffic violation like speeding, red light. It can't say, well, now I will say this. Let me say this caveat. Now, if they have the thought that you are under the influence because you're doing all these things at the same time, you're speeding, you ran a light, and when they pulled you over, there was an open container. That could be a reason to search. However, I'm saying these isolated because most people get pulled over just for speeding or just for a red light, or just for a running their stop sign. Those specifically within themselves, without other things added to it, um, are not going to be enough for the cop to just go into your pockets or go into your car and search. Now, a search of you or your person, you may hear legal terminology say a search of you or your person is going inside of your pockets, funneling and filling, squeezing stuff in your pocket. So let's just say that you were pulled over for running a red light. Nothing else, just running a red light, and the officer wants to give you a traffic citation for that. Now, the officer says, "Well, I just want to feel safe during this traffic stop, so can you step out of your car and allow me to do a pat down so while I'm talking to you, I can feel like, my safety is not at risk." So let's say once they start patting you down, you have a baggie of something, marijuana, whatever, in your pocket, and the officer feels that and starts to squeeze and to try to determine if it's drug or what it or whatever, or tries to determine what it is. This at this point, when the officer is squeezing and trying to fondle it with his or her fingers, trying to figure out what it is, that is a search. That is no longer just a pat down just for weapons. The pat down is just for weapons. Once they're trying to see whether or not you have a drug or anything like that on you, then it becomes a search. Two, a search of your car would be going into your glove department. Like I said, looking under your seats. Basically, anything they can't just see by looking into your car, they have to move stuff around. And I think I said that earlier. What you should do, what you don't do, is don't grab the officer hand if they are doing an improper search of you, your pockets. I would just say again, I understand that you are allowed to do a pat down, officer, but I am not giving you consent to search. And even if you don't remember to say all of that, just say, I am not giving you consent to search. Again, be nice, be firm, be nice, but vocalize that you are not giving consent to search. When I say nice, I don't want to be offensive. Just be respectful. I would take out nice. You don't have, just be respectful. You may not be able to stop the cop from doing an illegal search, but none of anything they find, if fought by your attorney and ruled on correctly by the judge in court, will be allowed to be used. Things cops say to get people to say yes to them to consent to a search. So these are tricks and tactics that the cops use to get people to say yes to a search. Remember, if they had probable cause to search your car, they would not need your permission. As soon as you give them permission, they no longer have to go get a warrant from a judge to search your car. You just gave them permission. So you just made their job completely easy. So, trick number one, cops say we can do this the hard way or the easy way. The easy way is you say yes to the search and I search your car. I quickly do the search and then you go on about your way. Or we can do it the hard way, where I go get a warrant or a dog out here and it's going to be much worse and harder for you. Again, you say, I do not give you consent to search my car because the officer is just trying to get around getting a warrant. There are certain things that an officer needs. The officer has to put probable cause in that warrant for a judge to grant the warrant. Um, so if the officer does not have enough, then they may very well not even be able to get what they're telling you, what they're lying to you and saying that they're going to get. So just make sure you don't make it easy for the officer to, infringe upon your rights by just saying, yes, go ahead, search my car. Um Note one, if you're sitting on the side of the road waiting on them to get a dog to search your car from only a traffic violation that has been found by many courts to be illegal. So if you ran a stop sign and you're just sitting there waiting on your citation, the officer asked you to search your car, you said no, and you're just sitting on the side of the road because the officer has decided, since you said no, he wants to go get a canine dog to sniff around your car. If you are just sitting on the side of the road waiting on him to go find a canine dog or the canine dog to arrive, that is unlikely to be found a legal search of your car, especially depending on how long you were sitting on the side of the road waiting for that to happen. Note two, and I think I said this in the prior slide, to get a warrant, they must have reason, probable cause that has nothing to do with a regular traffic violation. It is highly likely that they will not find a judge to sign a warrant for this illegal search. And if they do, it will likely be thrown out for no probable cause if fought and ruled on correctly. And I say that because a lot of things that officers sometimes do is illegal. But if your attorney does not bring it up, file the proper motions, and even if they do, if the judge does not rule correctly on the legal issue, then you can find yourself in a situation where it's just not one, it's not fair, but two, where that illegal search is being upheld temporarily anyway in most circumstances. Note three, and this is something very important. If you are on probation, this is not by itself an opening for any officer to search you at any time for any reason. The officer must believe again that you are committing a crime that is not a basic traffic violation. Although your probation officer may be able to come to your home and search depending on the circumstances, the officer on the side of the road calling your probation officer to search you on the side of the road for no reason is illegal. So, I hear this a lot. Officers will pull somebody over and they'll say, "Are you on probation?" That's not enough. Me being on probation does not mean it's just open season for you to just pull me over anytime you want to and just search my car, search my pockets, and everything else. There has to be more than that. Okay. Trick number two. Cop says, "I am going to call my supervisor out here." You still say no. The cop, being a supervisor, lieutenant, sergeant, upper echelon, whatever they want to call themselves, or whatever name they have been given, does not mean you lose any of your rights, nor does it mean that the rights to search your car or not search your car change because they are a supervisor or have a higher title. They may as well be another regular cop because your answer is still no and your rights are still the same. There is no different law if they were a lieutenant, if they were a supervisor, sergeant. It just sounds like it, but there is nothing different at all. Crime area. Reasons to say no to searches. So, for some people, saying no to a search may feel like a headache or like you doing the most, or you just let's just get it over with. I actually reasons to say no to searches. One, if you say no, if you say to the cop you do not have consent to search my car, and they don't have a reason or probable cause for a search because of something you said, did, or something they seen in plain view in the open, nothing in your car should, I use the word should, be able to be used against you because legally it should be suppressed, meaning thrown out, if fought by your attorney and ruled properly by the judge. However, if you say, "Yes, I give consent," go ahead. It's up to you. I don't care. It's unlikely to be found illegal because you gave permission, and whatever the officer found in the car, uh is likely going to be able to be used against you. You may think, well, they're going to find it anyway. No, there is a chance that they won't search your car at all because they don't have probable cause. And if you didn't give consent, but if you give consent, you give up that possibility of them not even searching your car at all. So, number two, you may say, I don't have anything illegal, so I don't care if they search my car. I'm just trying to go on about my business. Someone could have stashed or dropped something illegal in your car. I have seen this, and you didn't even know it. But on the side of the road, they are not going to believe that it's not yours, especially when you're the person driving the car. Or the police can plant something in your car, which will be very, very hard to prove later in court because it's your word against theirs. And you know, people have an unhealthy belief in police officers over others. Reasons to say no searches continue. Three, you wouldn't let a stranger go through your purse, your car, your pockets. Police are strangers. The constitutional amendments that I talked about are your citizen rights that were fought for us to have to protect our privacy as citizens. Do not just give them away like you have no power. It is okay to be nervous. It is. I will be lying if I said that, there was not a sense of nervousness that I felt once I got pulled over by the police, because I've been pulled over by the police before. And so a little fear is understandable, especially being Black in America, because of all that we've gone through. But just because you don't have on their uniform does not mean you do not have any power. Your rights are your power. Do not give those up. Be respectful, but do not give up your rights. Use them. What they do after they have used your power by denying them invasion of your rights will hopefully come back on them. But you did what you were supposed to do. You cannot talk yourself out of an arrest. This is one of the biggest mistakes. I see people just open the floodgates and just say everything, thinking that they can talk themselves out of arrest. If they are going to arrest you, then they are going to arrest you. The difference is, are they going to arrest you with strong evidence and a strong case, or are they going to arrest you with a weak case because they don't have a confession or whatever? Now, if they have some other stuff, their case may not be weak, but you, out of your mouth, did not make a strong case for them. Finally, that is all. Subscribe to my channel, share, visit my web page for the video version in word form. It may or may not be up once you see this video because I'm still working on that web page. Comment below on if this video helped you and videos that you would like to see in the future. I am working on the things that I think people should know about their rights when they come into contact with the police, and other videos. Finally, keep the fight and don't give up your rights.